Coming up on this week's Home Theater News Review podcast, we head back to 1982 to check out a landmark release, one of the biggest in audio technology history. Then we turn to news, kicking things off with a killer giveaway promotion that will land you at the biggest, most important home theater event of the year here in the United States of America for free. And if that sounds too good to be true, well, folks, it pretty much is too good to be true, but it's real. I can assure you of that. So if you're a home theater fan, this is something you want to hear about. We'll also dig into Trinnov's big news, and it's one of the biggest pieces of home theater tech news this year, possibly the most important release of the year. Super exciting stuff. Ascendo is making a big statement with its new Director speaker, which is developed for use with micro LED walls. Pro-Ject, folks, for you vinyl fans out there, they have launched 2 new turntables, and we've got details on those. Apple Studios looks like it will abandon theatrical releases, which is such a bummer for commercial cinemas. But look, this is all dollars and cents here, and that's what's probably going to happen. And Blue OLED phosphorescent technology is getting put on hold. That is really important for the makers of OLED displays. So we're going to dig into that particular news story, and we'll take a quick look at the recently announced EISA awards. Some fun products there. Of course, there's a lot more to chat about. Today is August 19th, 2024. Whew, where has the year gone? I just dropped my youngest daughter back off at college. She's got a couple years to go, but man, the summer just went by so fast. Hope everybody out there has had a fantastic summer. My name is Todd. For those of you who are new to the show, I'm your host here on HTNR, editor at the Home Theater Forum, avnirvana.com. And if I'm being honest, I'm like you, a total home theater junkie. As always, you can catch this podcast on our YouTube channel or listen to it on Spotify and iTunes. And if you have any questions or want to talk about today's stories, head over to our forum and let's have a chat. All right, today's trip in the time machine takes us back to August 17th, 1982. On that day, the world's first commercial music compact disc was manufactured. The album was called The Visitors by ABBA, or ABBA, depending on what region you're from. It was pressed in Germany by the Dutch label Polygram Records, which at the time was a subsidiary of Royal Philips Electronics. The CD standard was co-developed by Philips and Sony, which makes sense that they would be pushing forward on that. And, honestly, Sony was really hoping that it would become the successor to vinyl records. And I think, all things being said, it did a great job of doing that. Now, by the time The Visitors went on sale in November of 1982, roughly 150 other titles had already been produced. The album was one of the first records to be digitally recorded and mixed, and it was digitally remastered and reissued 4 different times after 1982. It happened in 1987, then again in 2001, then again in 2005, and then it was also released as part of the complete studio recordings box set in 2012. What's interesting about that release is ABBA wouldn't record another studio album for 4 decades. And incidentally, Polygram was sold in 1998 and folded into Universal Pictures and the Universal Music Group, erasing it pretty much off the map. But just a few years back in 2017, Universal revived the name, and it's back operating as Polygram Entertainment under the Universal umbrella. All right, well, we are just weeks away from the largest and most exciting home theater show of the year. It's called CEDIA. Once again, it's going to be taking place in Dallas, and there are some big changes happening at CEDIA. Most notably, it sounds like we are going to be treated to new sound rooms. I know the ones that they've been using for years were old and beaten up, and manufacturers were starting to complain a little bit about them, and basically If you can imagine this giant convention center, several football fields worth of floor space, you have these sound rooms that are constructed within it, and that's where a lot of the high-end demos are taking place. So new sound rooms, it sounds like they're a little bit more configurable, so I'm looking forward to that. I think this year we will experience the largest attendance since COVID. Last year they reported they had about 15,500 attendees. You know, it used to hit right around 20,000, maybe a little bit more. So hopefully we're going to get closer to that 20,000 number. But I think last year it was nice to see the floor kind of bubbling with excitement. And I just know this year is just going to be bigger and better. Now, unfortunately, for most folks out there, attendance is limited to manufacturers, PR folks, installers, and integrators, which is really what the show is being put on for. And then, of course, folks like me, the media. Now, that means your ordinary home theater fan or your extraordinary home theater fan can't gain access unless they really know somebody that can pull some strings. But for one lucky person out there, those restrictions are not going to apply. And this isn't thanks to friend of the show and friend of the forum at AV Nirvana, Brett Bjorkquist, who operates a YouTube channel called Factnatics. It's relatively new. I definitely suggest you go and check it out. But Brett has pulled together this contest where one winner will get flown out to Denver, put up in a hotel, and on Friday at 5 o'clock, as the show day winds down, they'll gain access to what is being designated as Sound Room 4. This is a room that's going to contain a $500,000 system, although I've actually heard that the system is closer to approaching $1 million. It will have equipment in it from the likes of Seymour Screen Excellence, Storm Audio, Ascendo, Christie Digital, a seating manufacturer called Movia, just lots of really great companies. I know Kaleidoscape is also a part of this one. And Brett, along with 10 members of the media world and the world of content creation, including myself, actually, we're talking about folks like Michael Stevens, who you may know as Youthman, Matt Pose, a good friend of mine, and also owner of Pose Acoustics, DJ Briggs, another good friend of mine, and he hosts the Bright Side Home Theater Chat, Jordan Farrington of Haterade Cowboy. I actually don't know Jordan, but Jordan, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. And my friend and stalker, John Siaka, John from Residential Systems, and a few other people are going to be there. And we'll be hanging out in Sound Room 4, discussing the latest technologies at Cedia and watching a lot of movie clips on this phenomenal, just amazing system. I can guarantee you right now, this thing is going to sound ridiculous. So that is really exciting. Then you have Saturday with Brett. He'll take you through all the other booths in and around the show, introducing you to some of the people behind your favorite brands. And then when that show day closes, he's going to take you back to the airport, or at least get you in a car that takes you back to the airport, because it's a little bit of a distance to get to the Denver airport. It's about 30, 40 minutes from the convention area, but he'll get you back to the airport and will fly you home with time to spare for your Sunday to sit back and enjoy and think about what you just were able to experience. So pretty cool stuff. Now, home theater fans out there, if you love home theater, this is definitely a contest that you simply have to enter. First off, I would love a chance to meet you. And that would be a lot of fun, because we're all going to be hanging out for a few hours on Friday night, but also just from the experience of getting to see what Cedia is like. From my perspective, it's my favorite show of the year. I've not been to EISA. I'm hoping to attend that next year. That's in Europe. I hear that's even bigger than Cedia. But for me here in the United States, Cedia is hands down my favorite show to cover every year. It's just a really great experience. Now, there are a number of ways for you to enter and boost your entries. I'm just going to let Brett do all the explaining on that. I'll drop a link to his YouTube video announcing this contest right down in the show notes and the description. So just go down after the show is over, give that a listen, and make sure that you enter. In other big news, and this is huge news, folks, after an 18-month soft launch period, Trinnov has officially made its waveforming software available to owners of altitude processors. Waveforming, for those of you out there who do not know, it's a proprietary room correction technology that specifically tackles low-frequency reproduction in a room. And when properly applied, it creates this clear and detailed base that's presented evenly across an entire room. And that basically means you can say goodbye to those dreaded peaks and nulls that can just torture the bass experience in a home theater room. Now, unlike conventional acoustic design methods, waveforming shifts the focus from merely treating a room's acoustics to proactively shaping them. And it does so by leaning on advanced algorithms to optimize the interaction between multiple subwoofers in a listening environment. It sounds pretty complex, right? Well, it actually is exceedingly complex. This technology was first launched at EISA 2023 over there in Europe, and it has since been demoed at expos and more than a dozen showrooms around the world. And during that time, Trinnov has continued to hone the technology, crafting variations that address different kinds of rooms, including those with as few as 4 subwoofers. They've also launched an online design tool that takes the guesswork out of design considerations, ultimately optimizing any given room layout to best take advantage of waveforming technology. Now, we've covered waveforming extensively on the forum, and I've had a chance to experience it in person earlier this year. I experienced it at Trinnov's new U.S. headquarters up in Connecticut. I've also heard it out at CEDIA. It's incredible to hear this. Just another reason to get over to CEDIA, folks. If you can hear this and experience it, it's just going to blow your mind. So I'll drop a link to our most recent article covering the official release. And at the bottom of that article, you'll be able to find links to other stories that hit on everything you need to know about the technology. Also, more importantly, this coming Wednesday, August 21st, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, Trinnov's founder and CEO, Arno Laborie, is joining me and Sonny Parker here on AV Nirvana Live. That's our live stream show. We're going to talk about waveforming, and we'll dive into how the technology can impact rooms that have as few as 4 subwoofers. So information about that stream will be released on our homepage and on social channels tomorrow. Speaking of cool, we have a new speaker from a red hot speaker company. You may know them as Ascendo, and this one's being designed to bring that cinematic audio experience to owners of large micro LED walls. Now, the truth is projectors have maintained kind of a presentation advantage despite the fact that micro LED walls visually can trump projectors, but when it comes to big screens and audio, you can still stick speakers behind an acoustically transparent screen when you're using a projector. That allows you to optimize audio playback in a way that you can't do with a micro LED panel because they're solid and non-porous, and you just can't position speakers behind them. Now, companies have come up with different ways to work around this. Some have tried reflecting sound off the micro LED wall, and there's some other line array options out there, but they all have some quirks that make them not really ideal. Ascendo is saying that the answer to the problem is its new direct radiating point source speaker that's packaged in a flush mount in-ceiling design. You can basically make the speaker disappear from an appearance perspective, and they're calling it the Director. Jeffrey Heinzel, Ascendo's co-managing partner, just a super awesome guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, and I know some of you did out at M-Wave this year, really awesome guy. He says the use of point source technology delivers the best seat-to-seat performance, meaning consistency across all seats in your home theater room. He also says that Ascendo went above and beyond in the R&D phase of building the speaker, crafting an AMT-driven waveguide with asymmetrical, horizontal, and vertical sound dispersion, and a high-frequency dispersion lens, which combats lobing cancellation issues that can negatively impact sound. Now, For rooms with really high ceilings or with steep ceiling angles, Ascendo says it leverages principles of psychoacoustics to incorporate an additional speaker that's located below the screen to improve the illusion of sound radiating from the center of that screen. The speaker will be on demo in Sound Room 3 at the CEDIA Expo. For you vinyl lovers out there, the Austrian company Pro-Ject has revealed a forthcoming belt drive turntable called the XAB that uses what the company calls a first of its kind balanced moving magnet phono cartridge. The cartridge is actually an altered version of the company's Picket Pro balanced cartridge, and Pro-Ject says that it's altered it in a way that's rerouted the grounding connection so it sends a symmetrical signal. Now, notable features on this particular model include a transparent acrylic base. It's very, very sharp looking, a 10-inch one-piece aluminum tone arm, and a balanced 5-pin DIN output. To get a true balanced connection that removes the accrued noise and interference from the transmission line, the turntable needs to be connected to a balanced phono preamp. They suggest several different options that range from $500 to $2,000. So you can kind of pare down on that a little bit, or you can go really big and go for the more expensive side of things. The XAB will hit the US in what they're saying to be late fall at a cost of $1,499. Pro-Ject has also announced a slightly more expensive model called the Debut Pro B. This one features an 8.6-inch carbon on aluminum arm tube, a machined die-cast damped aluminum platter, a sophisticated DC to AC power generator, and TPE damped height adjustable metal feet. You also find nickel plated trimmings and an 8-coat satin black paint job. Like the XAB, the Pro B will use a balanced cartridge, and I think I just mentioned it a moment ago. It's called the Picket Pro. It too will become available in late fall and will cost $1,999. On to the world of commercial cinema, where we find Apple Studios following in the footsteps of Netflix. It looks like they're going to be pulling out of commercial cinema releases in the very near future. This announcement comes after hits like Killers of the Flower Moon and Argylle underperformed at the box office despite massive budgets. From what I've read, budgets approaching $200 million, and they just didn't earn enough to make it worth it. The studio's forthcoming film Wolves, starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt, will see limited theater time before debuting on Apple TV Plus at the end of September. And then we have the forthcoming film F1, which is probably going to be a big one. That also stars Brad Pitt. Sounds like that one is going to be given time to breathe in the movie theaters, but it appears that other titles coming up may skip theaters altogether. According to Flat Panels HD, the launch of a revolutionary TV technology has been delayed. Universal Display Corporation, which is a big player in OLED manufacturing, says the commercial debut of its blue phosphorescent OLED or PHOLED technology has been delayed until the second half of 2025. And this aligns with Samsung Display's announcement that blue PHOLED televisions would be delayed until later next year. Now, OLED displays currently use red and green PHOLEDs, but when it comes to blue PHOLEDs, it's been a lot harder to develop because they require more energy to operate. The workaround has been to use blue fluorescent OLEDs, or in LG's case, relying on red and green PHOLEDs exclusively because red and green are more energy efficient and last longer. Blue fluorescent is far less efficient, generating more heat, and it actually has a much shorter lifespan. The allure of blue PHOLEDs is a better energy efficiency, lower manufacturing costs, and potentially a brighter picture on your OLED panel. And last but not least, the Expert Imaging Association, otherwise known as EISA, has released its 2024 award winners. The association comprises industry magazines and websites from around the world, covering everything from home theater AV products to photography and mobile devices. Individuals within these organizations test products, but also collaborate online to ultimately pick winners for various categories. As far as I can tell, there isn't much in the way of transparency when it comes to how products were scored or which products were considered or even technical data that was considered. So when EISA calls something best product, I think it's probably advised to take that designation with a grain of salt, though I do think it's well worth your time to pay attention to the products the organization is highlighting. I'll drop a link so you can see all of the winners, but here's just a few. Samsung's S95D was given the award for Best Premium OLED TV. Philips 65 OLED 959 won Best Home Theater OLED TV, while its 809 model won the Best Buy category for OLED TVs. The Hisense 100 E7 InQ Pro was given the Best Product Award for giant TVs. SVS and its awesome new Ultra Evolution speaker line won the Home Theater Loudspeaker Series Award. Bowers & Wilkins 700 S3, just gorgeous speakers. They took home honors for the Best Overall Loudspeaker Series, and Marantz's Cinema 30 was proclaimed the best AV receiver in the world. Again, you can see the complete list of winners by following the link down in the show notes. All right, it's time to check in with AV Nirvana disc critic Michael Scott, who has remained super busy on the reviews front over the last few weeks. Right now on our forums homepage, you can find reviews of Bill and Ted's Most Triumphant Trilogy, Collateral, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, the movie If, and The Bike Riders. All of those in 4K. Definitely pay attention to Mike's review of Furiosa. I mean, he basically says this is the best audio track on a movie released this year. So very cool stuff. In terms of new movies being released this week, it's just another disappointing lot of movies, in my opinion. We have a host of catalog titles coming out like Red Eye, The Evil Dead, and Together They'll Murder. Those are landing on 4K. A more recent film, You'll Never Find Me, is also landing on Blu-ray. And honestly, as I combed over the list, that's all that really stuck out to my eyes. Now, over on Kaleidoscape, they have a few really cool releases, such films as Twisters and Fly Me to the Moon, both of which are still in theaters. Those are now available for purchase and download on the Kaleidoscape system. Kscape is also having a flash sale on the complete Planet of the Apes collection and the John Wick franchise. And Inside Out 2 is up for pre-sale. Kscape is also hosting two different sales right now on summer blockbusters and comedies. Tons of great titles to check out there. And I guarantee you they're going to pry your little digital wallet open. So head over to Kaleidoscape for more information. Now onto the world of data and disc sales. And you might remember just a couple weeks ago, 4K UHD discs were accounting for roughly 30% of the market in terms of sales. Well, that has completely fallen apart, with 4K discs as of August 10th falling down to just a little under 11% of disc sales. Blu-ray is sitting at 22.5%, and DVD has climbed up there, almost reaching 67%. So whatever was happening has flip-flopped right back to the way it was before. So here's a little look at the top 5 movies selling on disc right now. At number 5, we have Twister, which makes sense because Twisters is still in theaters. Number 4, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Number 3, Civil War, still hanging in there, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire is at number 2, and The Fall Guy is sitting at number 1. And when we look at the top selling 4K discs as of August 10th, well, we've got The Fall Guy sitting at number 1. Collateral is a new entry at number 2. Then we have Twister at 3, Civil War at 4, and The Boy and the Heron at number 5. I mentioned Civil War as being somewhat important and noteworthy. Well, that's because for the month of July, it topped all other movies in terms of total number of units being sold. Number 2 was The Fall Guy, followed up by Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, The Boy and the Heron, and Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. All right, switching over to the movie streaming charts, where we find the new Mad Max film Furiosa sitting at number 1. Alien is sitting at a solid number 2, and no surprise there with the new Alien film being released in the theaters. I also see that Alien Covenant and Prometheus are sitting at number 9 and number 10. Jackpot is at number 3. The Bike Riders, which was reviewed by Michael Scott recently, that is sitting at number 4, and The Union is at number 5. And in terms of TV shows, we have Apple TV Plus's Bad Monkey sitting at number 1. That's up from the 28th spot. The Umbrella Academy is number 2. Batman Caped Crusader, that's been holding in there for some time. That's down to number 3. From, that's available on MGM Plus. That's sitting at number 4. And The Bear, that's a Hulu show, is at number 5. All right, my home theater friends, we are getting really close to wrapping this show up, and that's a good thing because it's dinner time here and I am starving. I'm ready to eat. So let's dive into our disc deals of the week. I have 3 4K films for you to pick from. Starting off with Steven Spielberg's The Duel. It's just $15 over at Amazon. Jordan Peele's Get Out, an even better deal. $10 for the 4K disc. And last but not least, a film that I have a real soft spot for, Harrison Ford in Patriot Games. That's also 4K, as I had said, just $15. If you'd like to support the show, if you want to support the Home Theater Forum over at avnirvana.com, you can use the links down in the show notes or the description to order those. We get a very small commission at no cost to you, but every little bit helps keep the lights on. Now, for our gear deal of the week, we are dipping back into the world of TVs and Sony's 65-inch Bravia 8 OLED 4K TV. Originally priced at $2,800, it can be found at $1,898 at Amazon or Best Buy. Now, admittedly, that's still pricey, but think about it this way. You're saving $900, which isn't exactly chump change, and you're getting access to OLED performance, which is just the best thing that is out there. So definitely, if you're in the market for a new TV, take advantage of this while you can. Once again, links are right down below. All right, folks, that's it for this week on HTNR. Until next time, be well, be kind to each other out there, and I'll see you on the forum at avnirvana.com.